Hey guys, so I promised you I'd give you a video about last night's interesting experience. I'll preface it first with kind of talking about how I've been feeling a little out of place in this part of the hospital. It's basically the neurology department, and I mean I'm probably like, you know. Well, I'm definitely the youngest patient here by probably 20 years. So it's kind of weird, like you can't help but thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, young guy, you know, I thought I was pretty healthy. And here I am, surrounded by I don't want to be offensive, but older folks. I mean, people probably experiencing strokes and other neurological issues, Oop, hold on. All right, that was my lunch coming in, so hopefully I'll be able to blend these videos together, and it'll sound all right. But anyways, yeah. So like I said, just feeling out of place, and it really felt weird last night. With everything that happened, but. I think I'm calling the video the Sundowners because, well, I'll get into that in a minute what that means. Some of you might already know what it means, but my wife kind of told me that term, and some of the nurses, we talked about it this morning. But anyway, so last night, I was having a headache, and I took the pills, and, didn't really do much until I actually laid down, and, it actually made me feel a lot better. So I was like, all right, I'm going to sleep, and I actually found a sweet spot in the bed, a particular angle, and my back felt good, so I was like, oh, I might actually sleep. Didn't have the IV hooked up to me, so I was like, I might not have to pee 50 times tonight. I'm gonna be good. And problem was that stupid monitor right there would beep constantly, and I thought it was like a loose, because I got sensors all over my chest. And I was like, what is this thing? And so I called a nurse in, and she kind of swapped out a few things, and, kept beeping. So I called her back in, and eventually, we determined that my heart rate was going below 45 was my heart rate. It would beep. And she's like, unfortunately, we can't really do anything about it because the volume's turned down low. And I'm like, look, I'm not going to be able to sleep with that thing beeping constantly. So she gave me some earplugs and helped out a little bit, but I mean, it's just constantly beeping. I'm like, God, jeez. And so I, put pillows over my head and blankets over my head, and it kind of ended up stopping at one point. So I looked at the monitor, and, my heart rate was like at around 40, 42, and it stopped beeping. So I'm like, oh, maybe they figured out how to stop the beeping. So I think I was able to fall asleep shortly after that, and which was great. Only to be awakened by alarms and people screaming, and I'm like, "What in the world? Like, help me! This is unacceptable!" I mean, just yelling. It's right outside my door. I'm like, "What in the world?" And I'm like, I was like, because I'm kind of groggy, and then I fell asleep again, and. I mean, that happened probably 5 or 6 times. Just people yelling and screaming and help me, help me. I was like, oh my God. I said, I'm in a psych ward. What am I doing here? And, so it pretty much happened most of it. I mean, I didn't really, I still was able to get good sleep, but I would be periodically awakened by screaming patients. And so it just really made me feel like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I here? But anyways, so I got up this morning around 6. I felt pretty refreshed, and a nurse came in, and even she was like, it was a rough night last night. She's like, I felt like I wasn't. She's like, she even said, I felt like I was in the psych ward. She's like, I worked at the psych ward for one day. I didn't like it. I never wanted to go back. And last night felt like I was in the psych ward. She said there was at least 6 patients that were just going crazy, and they call them Sundowners. And Julie call them Sundowners, because I guess when the sun goes down, it just makes them all go crazy, and it definitely happened. So it was an interesting night, but thankfully I slept pretty good, and got some rest. But as far as the headaches, I felt great. I didn't have a headache at all, and it was kind of funny when the nurses came in. I kind of buzzed my bed up so I can sit and talk to them, and they're like, "Oh, how's your headache?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's fine." And then I'm like, "No, it's not fine anymore. Like, it started hurting again." I'm like, "What the heck?" And then I laid my bed back down, and the headache was gone. I was like, ah. So we were talking about it, and that they said they were to talk to the neurologist and the doctor about it, and long story short, basically, it's probably because of my little spinal tap that I had, and it might be leaking, so it's like decreasing the pressure in my spinal cord, which is causing the headaches, and it's textbook symptom that you'll have a headache sitting up, and the minute you lay down, headache goes away. And that's exactly what happens. And so I'm like, oh, great. I wasn't planning on leaving here with more problems than I came with. But apparently there's this procedure that I'm, I guess, scheduled to have this afternoon. It's called a blood patch, where they will take some blood out of my arm and inject it around where I was poked in the spine, and I guess it's supposed to clot it and block the hole and help it heal. So, and apparently it's a pretty successful procedure. Some people feel relief pretty quickly, some may take a day or two, but yeah, so fingers crossed, because having a headache every time I sit up or stand is not going to work. So hopefully that'll be successful. If I'm up to it, I'll have a full day review later this afternoon, and which hopefully will include an update from that, and hopefully things will be getting better. Right now I'm getting an IV of magnesium, which is, I guess, supposed to help with my headache, and I guess kind of prepare me for this procedure this afternoon. So hopefully that'll work, and we'll go from there. So hopefully you found this video entertaining. I mean, I had to laugh. I'm like, out of all the, I've never been in a hospital before, as far as a stay before this particular event, and it's just been very enlightening and crazy, to say the least. But anyways, that's about all the time I have for this video, and hopefully I'll have another update for you later today for today's overview. All right, thanks for listening.